Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the American taxpayer is facing a struggling economy, skyrocketing debt, and political partisanship here in Washington. While every American family must balance the budget, the federal government does not have to do the same. Additionally, publicly traded companies are required to provide financial statements for their shareholders, whereas the government is not held accountable to the American taxpayer. That is why Representative Mike Quigley and I are introducing bipartisan legislation that would require the federal government prepare and publish online periodic financial statements that are independently audited and that accurately reflect the government's true financial condition. In the short time that I've been in Congress, I've focused my efforts on creating an environment that fosters job creation and gets our economy back on track. Part of that effort involves America's fiscal house getting in order, and that is why I have worked to curb out-of-control government spending. Moving forward, I believe that we must also reform the way our federal accounting methods are conducted to make the budget process more transparent and accessible to every American, so that they, as taxpayers, can truly know how their money is being spent and what our government's true liabilities are. That is why I am introducing the bipartisan Truth in Government Accounting Act, H.R. 3332. To protect private sector shareholders, the federal government requires each publicly traded company to file periodic GAAP financial statements that are independently audited and that accurately reflect the company's true financial condition. By contrast, the federal government's own accounting practices substantially conceal and confuse the federal government's true financial condition, especially with respect to long-term unfunded liabilities and year-over-year spending. To protect taxpayers as much as the private sector shareholders, the federal government should similarly require each federal agency to file periodic GAAP financial statements that are independently audited and that accurately reflect the agency's true financial condition. The Truth in Government Accounting Act would require the federal government to do so, to make the resulting federal government financial statements easily available online, and to require zero baseline budgeting. This bill will require all federal agencies to provide 3 quarterly and 1 annual consolidated financial statement, just as the private sector must do, using the fair value accrual accounting method on all their assets and liabilities, including unfunded entitlement liabilities. These statements will be audited by a single entity, the Government Accountability Office, an independent, nonpartisan agency that reports to the Congress. These audited statements will put online in terms of a searchable website for all Americans to use and to see easily. As incredible as it may seem, there is not a simple way for the American public to easily view our national budget with all of its liabilities, current and long-term. What exists now is a system where information is scattered between federal agency and government office websites. Our bill creates a simple and accessible website that can be a one-stop shop for all information related to our federal budget based off of websites that we know currently exist, like recovery.gov. Americans deserve a transparent way to see where their tax dollars go and what they are on the hook for in the future. The bill will require the Congressional Budget Office to use current year spending as a baseline for estimating future mandatory and discretionary changes, to determine whether the future legislation would increase or decrease federal spending. It will be measured against current year spending and not against previously anticipated and hypothetical future year spending. The American people deserve an open and transparent budgeting process, and the Truth in Government Accounting Act provides just that. By requiring agencies to provide quarterly financial statements, auditing those financial statements, and putting that information on a comprehensive website, as well as implementing the zero-based budgeting, we will greatly improve our federal budget practice and enhance the public's ability to know how their tax dollars are being spent. We expect and demand that companies conduct their business in a transparent manner. We should expect and demand no less of our federal government. I want to urge my colleagues to co-sponsor this legislation. The American taxpayers deserve true accounting of how their money is being spent. With that, I yield back.